The strange new roommate. Jake Carson stood at the front of his small metal apartment on New Terra 5, a human colony shared with many alien races. His backpack hung from one shoulder, and a wrench stuck out from his back pocket. He had just finished fixing a mining drone and wanted nothing more than to relax. But then the housing system beeped. New roommate assigned. Arrival in 10 minutes. Jake raised an eyebrow. Roommate? I didn't sign up for that. He checked the system again. His name was there, along with a new name, Zirra Vela. Species, Ythari. Gender, female. He blinked. Alien roommate? A girl? From Ythari? The Ythari were rare. Elegant beings with glowing skin, large eyes, and the ability to feel emotions deeply. Jake had only seen them in vids, not in person. They usually kept to themselves. 10 minutes later, the door chimed. Jake opened it and froze. Standing in front of him was Zirra. She was tall and slim, her skin a soft silver blue that shimmered like moonlight. Her 4 glowing eyes stared into his. Her white hair floated gently around her head, almost like it was alive. She carried nothing except a small glowing orb in her hand. Her expression was calm, but her eyes kept scanning Jake's body and face. Hello, she said in a voice like soft music. I am Zirra. I was told this is my new living space. Jake stepped aside. Yeah. Come in. She walked in slowly, her feet almost silent on the floor. She looked at everything, his couch, his tools, even the half-eaten sandwich on the table. You live. Simply, she said. Jake scratched his head. I guess so. As the hours passed, things only got stranger. Zirra walked through the apartment, like a princess exploring a poor man's kingdom. She touched every object with curiosity, especially Jake's tool chest. Her fingers slid across the metal surface, pausing at the biggest tool, a heavy torque spanner the size of her forearm. This tool, she said, turning to Jake. It is very large. Jake chuckled. It's just a wrench. I use it to fix big machines. But Zirra kept staring at it, her pupils dilated. Then she turned away suddenly. Later that evening, Jake cooked some noodles. Zirra watched closely, tilting her head at the boiling water. You use heat to change food, she whispered. Primitive, but charming. Jake smiled. Want to try some? She took one bite and made a strange sound. Her cheeks glowed faintly purple. It is spicy, she said, coughing softly. You okay? Jake asked. She nodded quickly. It's good. Just unexpected. That night, Jake worked in the garage beside the apartment. He wore a sleeveless shirt and grease-stained jeans. Sweat ran down his arms as he lifted a heavy crate of parts. Zirra appeared silently at the doorway. You should not strain your body so much, she said, watching. Jake laughed. This is nothing. I've lifted heavier stuff. Then, without warning, he bent down to grab the big torque spanner, the same one Zirra had touched earlier. As he lifted it, he noticed Zirra, staring again. Her eyes were locked on the tool. Her voice trembled slightly. Such strength and control. Jake blinked. You mean the wrench? She looked away quickly. Yes, the wrench. After cleaning up, they both returned inside. Jake sat on the couch, sipping cold juice. Zirra sat across from him, legs crossed, her glowing orb hovering beside her like a pet. Suddenly, her translator device beeped. Her expression changed. She looked tense. Is something wrong? Jake asked. She nodded slowly. My translator is overloading. Too many emotional signals. From who? From me, she whispered. There was a silence. Jake didn't know what to say. He wasn't used to aliens. He wasn't used to glowing girls watching him fix things or react to tools like they were magic. I'm just a mechanic, he said finally. Not sure why you're getting overloaded. Zirra stood up. She walked to the tool chest again. Her hand hovered over it, not touching, just feeling. In my culture, she said softly, Tools like these are symbols. Strength, skill, energy. They matter greatly. Jake raised an eyebrow. It's just a wrench. She looked at him and smiled. A soft, mysterious smile. To you, maybe. Then she turned and walked to her room, the orb following like a shadow. Jake sat there wide-eyed and confused. What just happened? Zirra woke early the next morning. She didn't sleep much. Her alien biology didn't require long rest, but it wasn't just that. Something in her mind kept spinning like a broken starship engine. She stood silently by the doorway of her room, watching through the half-open crack. Jake was shirtless, again standing over his tool bench, working on a damaged plasma coil. Sparks jumped as he soldered the circuit. His muscles moved with every motion, slow, focused, controlled. And then he pulled it out. The same big wrench. Zirra's heart rhythm changed. On her homeworld, strength and precision in tool handling was linked to bonding potential. It wasn't just a job, it was a form of attraction. She gasped without meaning to. Jake looked up. You okay? Zirra stepped back quickly. Yes. I was only observing. I did not wish to interrupt your display. Display? Jake grinned, wiping sweat off his brow. I'm just fixing stuff. That's what I do. But Zirra didn't smile back. Her cheeks glowed again. Purple now. Deeper than yesterday, I find it fascinating, she admitted. Your control of power, so raw, so unfiltered. Later that day, they visited the local parts market. Jake moved like he belonged, grabbing connectors, scanning price tags, negotiating with a grumpy two-headed merchant. Zirra walked beside him, silent but alert. Her long white hair caught wind easily. Some alien shoppers stared, others whispered. A Yathari female was rare in this part of the colony, but seeing her walking with a human male? Unheard of. Back at home, Zirra did something she had never done before. She entered the garage without permission. Jake wasn't around. She stood in front of his tool chest. Slowly, almost shyly, she opened the top drawer. Inside were rows of human tools, metal, simple, practical. But her attention went straight to the largest tool, the one with the black grip and double magnetic head. She touched it gently. A small hum vibrated through her fingertips. Suddenly, a voice behind her. Looking for something? Zirra turned fast. Jake stood there, arms crossed, a curious look on his face. Her voice shook slightly. I was only observing your equipment. Jake walked closer. You're really into tools, huh? Zirra hesitated. Then, in my culture, tools carry meaning. Size, weight, function, they are not only for fixing machines. Jake raised an eyebrow. Then what else are they for? She looked him dead in the eyes. They are used to measure potential mates. The room went silent. Jake blinked. Wait. What? That night, dinner was quiet. Too quiet. Zirra barely ate. She sat straight, hands folded, eyes focused on her, glowing orb. The translator device on her chest blinked yellow, a signal of emotional stress. Jake finally spoke. Hey, if I made you uncomfortable, I'm sorry. Zirra looked up. No, you did not offend me. Then what is it? She sighed softly. You activated something I wasn't prepared for. Jake tilted his head. By lifting a wrench? Zirra nodded seriously. That and your energy. You do not understand how it radiates, how your kind burns so brightly. He laughed a little. I'm just a guy with tools. No, she said. You are a human, and humans are unpredictable, dangerous, and exciting. Jake didn't know what to say. No girl, human or alien, had ever talked to him like that. He stood up, clearing plates. But Zirra stood too quickly. I must confess something, she said. Jake turned curious. I watched you this morning, she said. And yesterday. Every time you used that large tool, I felt waves inside. My translator can barely keep up with my reactions. Jake's face went red. So, you're saying, she stepped closer. In HFY science, that kind of emotional response means one thing. Jake gulped. What? She leaned in. It means I'm bonding. The next day, Jake woke up to a strange humming sound. It wasn't coming from the walls or the broken heater or even the usual noise of space traffic. It was coming from Zirra's room. He knocked gently. Zirra, you okay in there? No reply. The door wasn't locked, so he pushed it open slightly, and what he saw made him stop cold. Zirra stood in the center of the room, floating 3 feet above the ground. Her eyes were closed, her white hair hovering like it was underwater. Around her, her emotional orb flickered in rapid colors: red, blue, violet, gold. Jake had never seen anything like it. Suddenly, her eyes snapped open. She slowly floated down, her feet landing without a sound. I didn't want you to see that, she said softly. Jake blinked. Are you okay? What were you doing? She looked down, embarrassed. I was trying to control the signals. They're getting stronger. What? Signals? She pointed to the orb, now glowing a soft pink. My emotions. In HFY culture, emotions are physical. If they grow too strong, they can affect matter, energy, even memory. Jake raised his hands. Okay, but why now? Why me? Zirra looked at him seriously. Because you are the first male whose energy has matched mine. Jake tried to act casual, but inside he was shaking. I'm not some super being, he said. I just fix machines and eat too many noodles. Zirra took a deep breath. Your tools, your strength, your calm, it all sends signals. HFY females are trained to resist emotion, but my body isn't listening anymore. Jake looked at her translator device. It was glowing hot, almost melting. He stepped forward. Whoa, that thing's gonna blow. She touched it gently. It's never been this overloaded before. You don't know what you're doing to me. Jake stepped back. Okay, now I'm scared, but Zirra smiled softly. Don't be. It's not pain. It's awakening. Later, Jake went to work on the balcony's damaged power relay. As he worked, he could feel Zirra watching from the shadows. He tried to focus, but every time he lifted the heavier tools or tightened bolts, he heard her inhale sharply or shift her feet nervously. Once he turned around fast and caught her staring. You okay? She looked away. Yes, I was only studying your technique. Do you do this with all your roommates? Zirra's voice was almost a whisper. You are my first. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He sat on the couch holding a cold drink, watching old Hollow movies. Zirra entered quietly and sat beside him. She kept her distance, but not too far. Why don't humans broadcast emotions? She asked. Jake shrugged. I don't know. Maybe we're scared to show them. She nodded. That's why your energy builds up. You hold too much inside. A pause. Then she leaned a little closer. You should let it out. Jake laughed nervously. I think I already have. You're the one glowing like a Christmas tree. She turned to face him fully. Do you know what it means when a HFY glows around one person? Jake looked into her 4 shining eyes. No. It means we're sinking. Suddenly, the orb floating near her chest blinked 3 times and stopped glowing. The translator shut down. Zirra's smile faded. Her hands shook slightly. I can't speak much longer, she whispered. If I say the next words, there's no going back. Jake leaned forward. Then don't say anything. Unless you want to. She touched his chest lightly. I already have. And with that, she stood and disappeared into her room, leaving Jake stunned, sweating, and completely confused. The moonlight on New Terra 5 was pale and bluish, shining through the apartment window like liquid glass. Jake tossed and turned on the couch. He couldn't sleep. His mind kept replaying what Zirra said. We're sinking. What did that really mean? He sat up, rubbed his eyes, and walked to the kitchen for water. The house was quiet, too quiet. Then he heard it, a soft whimper. It wasn't loud, but it wasn't human either. He followed the sound down the hall and stopped outside Zirra's room. Her door was half open. He peeked in. Zirra was curled on the floor, her back glowing faintly. Her orb was cracked. Her translator, device, completely offline. She was shaking, arms wrapped around herself. Jake stepped in. "Zirra?" She looked up, startled. Her eyes were glassy with tears. "You shouldn't see me like this," she whispered. Jake knelt beside her. "What happened?" "My body is failing," she said. "The emotional sinking. It's too strong. It's not supposed to happen this fast. My system can't process it." Jake frowned. "Wait, are you saying I'm hurting you?" "No," she said quickly. "You're not hurting me. You're waking me up." Zirra struggled to speak. Without her translator, her voice became more alien, broken tones and soft pulses between words. But Jake understood the feeling in her voice. She wasn't just overwhelmed, she was scared. "I trained my whole life to control emotion," she said, trembling. "But now I feel too much." Jake touched her hand. "Then why don't you just stop syncing with me?" Zirra looked up slowly. "Because I don't want to." The power flickered. Lights dimmed, and a warning beeped from the central wall screen. "Energy overload detected in residential unit." 4G. Jake stood fast. "What's going on?" Zirra clutched her chest. "It's me. My energy is rising too fast. It's going to cause a pulse wave." Jake had only heard of that in colony safety drills. Emotional energy in some alien species could explode, damaging electronics, even hurting others. "Tell me how to stop it," he said. Zirra looked at him, her eyes desperate. "You can't stop it. You have to finish it." "What does that mean?" Her voice was trembling, glowing faint again. "If you mean it, if your connection to me is real, then you must bond. Right now. Tonight." Jake froze. "Bond? Like, forever?" Zirra nodded. "Even if we die tomorrow, our energies will be joined. It is not about love, it is about truth." Jake stared into her glowing eyes and he said, "Then tell me what to do." Zirra reached into her cracked orb. She pulled out a tiny glowing thread, pure energy. It hovered in the air like a ribbon of light. "This is part of me," she said. "Take it." Jake reached out slowly and touched the thread. The moment he did, a shock ran through his hand. His heart pounded. He saw visions. Her homeworld, her training, her loneliness, and her memories of watching him work. And smile. And laugh. Tears ran down her cheeks. "You fix things. Not just machines. You fixed me." The pulse wave calmed. The lights returned. Zirra slumped into his arms, weak but smiling. They sat on the floor in silence for a long time. Jake finally asked, "So, are we bonded now?" Zirra nodded slowly. "Yes," she said softly. "And it's not because of your tools." Jake laughed nervously. "I was hoping you'd say that." Zirra tilted her head. "But the tool helped." Morning came, but the apartment didn't feel the same. Zirra no longer floated when she moved. She walked slowly now, every step careful. Her glowing eyes were dimmer, but her expression had changed. Softer, warmer. She no longer looked like a distant alien visitor. Now she looked almost human. Jake cooked breakfast while Zirra sat at the table watching him in silence. "You okay?" he asked. "I am adjusting," she said. "The bond is stabilizing." Jake nodded, though he didn't really understand. "Is this forever now?" She tilted her head. "Not yet. We have entered what Yathari call the trial bond. It must be tested. If we fail, the bond breaks. Painfully." Jake blinked. "Painfully?" She nodded. "Like being torn in half." Jake gulped. Cool, no pressure. Zirra led him that afternoon to a place Jake had never seen. An old alien ruin outside the colony limits. Covered in sand and vines, the broken structure looked like a collapsed temple mixed with forgotten machinery. What is this place? Jake asked. It was once a training ground, Zirra said. Now it is our test site. They stepped inside. The doors responded to Zirra's touch, metal folding back with a soft sigh. Inside, dim blue light lit up the chamber. Alien machines lined the walls, rusty, dead, forgotten. In the center sat a large, broken Yathari Skycore drone, a floating tech beast once used for healing and battle. Zirra pointed to it. If we can fix it together, the bond completes. Jake narrowed his eyes. But this tech is thousands of years old, she smiled. That is why humans were chosen for the trial. They got to work. Jake opened his toolbox and began sorting through wires and connectors. Zirra scanned the drone, her fingers glowing faintly as she touched the old circuits. You see what I see? She asked, linking her orb to his wrench using a magnetic cable. Now I do, Jake said, blinking as alien schematics flowed through his wristband. They worked for hours. Jake replaced broken joints. Zirra powered ancient circuits with her energy threads. When the main power core refused to restart, Jake took a risk. He bypassed it with parts from his own drone, sweating and swearing under his breath. Zirra watched closely. You sacrifice your own tools in for this? Jake smiled. It's not the tool that matters. It's what you use it for. As night fell, lightning rolled across the distant mountains. A storm was coming, but they didn't stop. Jake's hands were bleeding. Zirra's energy was flickering. The drone's chest plate began to glow. Then, a deep hum filled the chamber. The drone rose into the air, powered for the first time in centuries. But something was wrong. The drone's AI didn't recognize them as allies. Its red eyes flashed. Weapons activated. Jake, move! Zirra shouted, throwing herself in front of him. A pulse cannon charged. Jake grabbed the broken wrench, the same heavy one from his chest, and hurled it straight at the drone's core. Direct hit. The machine collapsed. Silence. Zirra crawled to Jake's side. He was bruised, panting, his shirt scorched. You did it, she whispered. We did it, he corrected, smiling weakly. Their emotional orbs pulsed in unison, two lights sinking into one color, crystal white. Zirra's voice was calm. The trial bond is complete. Jake gave a thumbs up, before passing out in her arms. Rain slammed down on the roof of the alien ruin like falling stones. Zirra sat in silence beside the unconscious Jake, his head resting on her lap. Her silver-blue skin shimmered with every thunderclap, and her glowing eyes watched the storm as if it were speaking to her. Jake had saved her. He had broken his own tools, risked his life, and thrown the only wrench that ever mattered to stop, an ancient war drone. Just for her. Her fingers brushed his hair softly. This human, she whispered, is more Yathari than any I've ever known. Outside, the wind howled. Inside, the drone's broken core still pulsed faintly. Jake stirred with a groan. Zirra leaned down, voice gentle. You're alive. He blinked. What happened? You passed the trial, and almost passed out forever. Jake chuckled weakly. Worth it. They built a fire using broken cables and heat packs from Jake's kit. The warmth pushed back. The cold, but something else warmed the space between them. The bond. Zirra stared into the flames. In Yathari culture, she said, fire is used only for two things. Mourning and mating. Jake's eyes widened. What? She looked over, smiling gently. Calm yourself, human. I said used for, not required for. Jake laughed nervously. Good, because I didn't bring flowers. A bolt of lightning cracked through the sky. The fire flickered. Zirra leaned forward. The storm brings truth. Jake tilted his head. How? When lightning strikes above your head, And you are still alive, she said. You know who you were meant to survive with. Jake looked into her glowing eyes. And? I think, she said slowly, I was meant to survive. With you. She placed her hand on his chest. Her energy threads shimmered between her fingers. A soft glow spread from her palm over Jake's heart. What are you doing? He asked. Finishing what we started. Jake watched, eyes wide, as her energy wrapped around his chest, pulsing gently like a heartbeat. But he felt no pain, only warmth and a strange peacefulness that made the storm outside seem far away. Do you accept the final stage? She asked softly. Jake reached up and touched her hand. Only if you stay with me when it's over. Zirra smiled. That is the point. Human. Suddenly the ground trembled. A sensor in Zirra's orb beeped loudly. Jake sat up. What now? Zirra's face turned serious. The bond has been broadcast. To who? The Yathari High Council. Thousands of miles away, on a cloaked orbiting vessel, a screen blinked. On it, Zirra's image appeared, bonded, glowing, linked to a human, a Yathari elder hissed. She bonded without permission. Another replied. She chose a human. Unrecorded, unapproved. The leader narrowed his glowing green eyes. Prepare retrieval squad, bring her home, and erase the mail. Back in the ruin, Jake felt the storm changing. The wind wasn't just wild, it was charged. Zirra stood slowly. They're coming. Who? My people. Jake got up, grabbing what was left of his tool belt. Are they bringing snack or weapons? She didn't answer. Outside, something sliced through the storm. A dropship, silent, cloaked, glowing like a ghost. Zirra turned to Jake. If you come with me, you may never return to this colony again. Jake stepped forward, eyes steady. I didn't bond with you to stay behind. The Yathari dropship landed with a soundless pulse. No engines, no flame, just a shimmer of gravity pressing down on the earth. The storm seemed to pause, holding its breath. Jake and Zirra stood at the edge of the ruin's broken door. Wind swept around them, and the glow from her energy orb pulsed white, fully bonded. The ship opened. 3 Yathari warriors stepped out. Tall, armored, their skin glowing like burnished silver. Behind them floated a figure draped in dark robes, Elder, Vekor, Zirra's clan leader. Zirra's back straightened. Her voice was calm but firm. I am bonded. The Elder's 4 glowing eyes narrowed. You bonded outside the sacred rite. You chose a human. Jake stepped forward. Yeah, she did. And I chose her too. The warriors raised their arms, but the Elder held up a hand. You will not touch him. Zirra's eyes widened. You're not here to separate us? No, said Vekor. I am here to see if the bond is real. A glowing stone floated from the Elder's robe, an ancestral bond crystal. It hovered between Jake and Zirra, scanning them with pulses of light. The crystal dimmed, then burst into radiant gold. The Elder stepped back, surprised. It's true, he whispered. The bond is pure, one of the warriors spoke. But he is untrained, unworthy. No, the Elder said quietly. He is human, and he is exactly what we feared and hoped for. Jake looked at Zirra. So, what happens now? She turned to him, eyes full of emotion. You have 2 choices. Jake nodded slowly. Go back or go forward. Zirra whispered. If you stay, they'll let you live, but we'll be apart. Jake looked up at the stars, then back at her. And if I leave with you, she touched his chest, then your life is never yours alone again. You'll walk in a galaxy that doesn't trust your kind. You'll face trials, danger, and beauty beyond dreams. Jake grinned. Sounds better than fixing drones for the rest of my life. She smiled gently. Then choose. Jake stepped forward, not toward the house, not toward the ruin, but toward her. I already did, he said. The dropship hummed. The doors opened. Zirra took Jake's hand. Together, they stepped aboard. As the doors sealed shut behind them, the storm broke, and for the first time in hours, the sky cleared. The colony below never saw him again. But legends spread of the human who bonded with a Yathari, of the mechanic who wielded more than tools. He wielded heart, courage, and something no alien could calculate: love.